with our next panel discussion, topic being Generative AI, Impact on Messaging Ecosystem. I would like to invite on stage our moderator for the session, Brajesh Kumar from Universal Technology Solutions. Give it up for Brajesh, ladies and gentlemen. Our esteemed panelist, Eishan Gupta from TATA Communications. Shailesh Sakhare from Alienics. Vijaya Vani from GTS TechLabs. Rajesh B, Pinnacle Teleservices. And Muktesh Narula from Dovesoft. We have Shailesh. Shailesh? Is Shailesh in the room? All right. Okay, there he is. Shailesh? All right, we'll have him join us once he comes in. Yeah. So, Brajesh, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I would request all the panelists, right, to give their introduction so that you will be knowing with whom you are listening, right? So they have a great experience to add what GenAI can do in the messaging ecosystem. Over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Muktesh Narula. I've been into messaging business for last almost 17 years now, and I've recently taken up this new assignment as CEO of Dovesoft.
Good afternoon all. My name is Eishan Gupta. I'm part of TATA Communications and I head the commercial operations for Middle East, Africa and APAC region for A2P SMS. Thank you for being here.
Hi all, this is Shailesh Sakhare. I am from Alienics Inc., a Canadian-based company, and I have an experience of A2P SMS industry for last 14 years and have been in telecom industry for last 22 years. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all. First of all, thanks to MEF and GTS. And by the way, I'm not Rajesh Banerjee, I am Jayesh. I am actually representing Mr. Rajesh Banerjee. Because of his last minute, kind of a personal situation. I'm very thankful for the entire organization here to accommodate me on the last minute. I represent Pinnacle. We are an enterprise communications company moving into customer experience as a service platform as well. And happy to be here today. Thanks.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I am Vijaya Vani Rao. I'm working as the Principal Data Architect at GTS TechLabs and also as a Chief Data Scientist with Platinum AI. I carry an experience of about 14 plus years across various industry verticals like telecom, retail, fintech, and energy. Predominantly leveraging data as a strategic asset. So I'd like to thank everybody for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this esteemed panel today. Looking forward for a fun-filled and an exciting discussion.
Thanks, everyone. So from the morning itself, we are listening AI. Looks like AI is going to solve everything. And then this is coming generative AI. So what is that? So my first question will be regarding that only, how we can differentiate AI, generative AI, discriminative AI, right? So that at least what we are going to discuss, that makes more. Yeah, so Vani, if you can.
Okay, sure, Brajesh. So like you mentioned, it is the buzzword for today, AI, generative AI. We have been listening to that right from morning today as well, right? So let's keep it simple. First of all, AI or artificial intelligence for that matter, right? So it's a very big umbrella term. So it encompasses a lot of tools and technologies that can help us simulate human intelligence. So that can be the very basic definition of what is AI, right? And when it comes to discriminative AI, it's a branch of artificial intelligence that deals with the problem of classification. When I say classification, within the telecom context, if we have to look at it, the classic churn prediction problem or fraud detection that we have been speaking from morning, right? That can also be an example of discriminative AI. So it follows a learning technique that comes under supervised learning, where we have a target, we have the lot of observations and target given to the model at the very beginning itself. So that is discriminative AI. On the other hand, we have generative AI. Generative AI, the core goal of generative AI is to generate content, be it text or audio, video, images, anything, right? So the whole goal is to generate content or information that is contextually relevant within that arena, right? So that is generative AI. So if I have to give an example again to just continue the previous example that I mentioned, fraud detection, we use generative AI to generate content, the data samples or some artificial data to train the model when real data is not available, right? So that can be one of the use case for generative AI. Yeah.
So what do you mean that generative AI is a creative, right? So can generative AI be creative, and how generative AI is changing the creative work?
Okay. So with respect to that question, my answer would be both a yes and a no, because it is definitely debatable, and I'm sure every one of us have our own opinions on whether AI can be creative or not. So it is definitely creative, but within its own limitations. It's bounded by the amount of data we are using to train it, bounded by the kind of parameters, number of parameters we are using to train that, right? And also it lacks the underlying principles, the basic foundation blocks on which human creativity is built, the intellectual thinking or be it reasoning capability, right? It lacks all of those. So it is creative within its own context. So I'll conclude by saying that generative AI inherently may not be creative, but it definitely augments human creativity. It can help us be more creative in the way we work by removing the mundane tasks of what we do in our everyday life. It can definitely automate that part and give us more ideas in being more innovative and building more innovative solutions. Yeah, so I would like to conclude by saying that.
Adding to what Vani has said, that in terms of creativity, as she rightly mentioned, AI on its own is not creative. It has to be made creative by the data pointers, by the segmentation, by the things which are available at the human end, and how those things are going to be presented. From a perspective that data is there, but how to use that data and communicate with the end consumers, and how to make them feel relatable to all those things with that data is what generative AI will be doing. So from a perspective where creativity comes, the human mind and the AI both work together hand in hand to complement the life of the end consumer and give them the required personalization, that is in terms of every service that they offer or they get offered.
Excellent.
So I'll probably complement to what Vani and Shailesh just mentioned. I think so. Creativity is all in the hands of the enterprise. How innovative an enterprise want to be in reaching out to the customer. So the journey is something which the enterprise needs to decide, and the creativity, there is no extent to being creative. Probably, if I talk, or rather most of us, I'll talk for myself firstly, I did not know the basic tool which is there on Google was an AI built tool, which was Google Translate. It was translating whatever language or content that you want to put into a simple plain English language. And now From that, we have now reached to a time wherein, we have hyper-personalized concepts of reaching out to serving the customer in a better fashion. So that's the extent of innovations which are going on. And it's all about how enterprise want to efficiently tap the customer.
Yeah, so AI is a technology which actually simulates the mind. So like Ishan said, there is no end to the creativity. So I think generative AI is something which is actually bringing the mental concepts and creating something which is not really available to the senses, really. So that is something we have to,
Yeah, so I think
that's the other perspective.
Yeah, I think then we all are agreeing that evolution of AI is based on imagination, right? So how the imagination can be defined in terms of telecom?
True, yes. Yeah. So telecom, so generative AI, like hyper-personalization is something that, has been talked about in the previous panels also. That's one thing there. Generative AI can be used for telecom. And then, of course, for network optimization, AI is doing a lot.
From an evolution perspective, I think AI has been there in this space for a very long time. And as Vani had mentioned, that there are now the two types which have now emerged. One is discriminative AI, and now it is generative AI. Generative AI is a step where AI has evolved in a sense where whatever data is available, how to use it, where to use it, and whom to use it. In terms of concept, where we have to apply it in telecom, we can say, for a messaging perspective, it becomes more as a personalized factor because it is reaching to the end consumer who is going to read and feel what is being offered to him. Whether it is a normal OTP, whether it is a normal offer, a product offer, or anything, there has to be a personalization attached to it. That is when the person will feel that, okay, I am being respected and let me take an advantage of this in terms of, so in telecom, you can use it for loyalty. The enterprise, as Ishan had rightly mentioned, it is up to the enterprise how they want to communicate with their consumers, in what fashion they want to communicate with the consumers, at what time they want to communicate with the consumers. There are various examples that we come into our daily life, somebody's birthday, somebody's anniversary, anything. There are pointers, there are data that are available into the system. AI, generative AI, can make that data available to the system, and that system can generate a SMS and can be sent to the end consumer, where that person gets a personal feeling, or the subscriber feels that, okay, I am being offered something which on my special day, on a special day where it should be remembered. Somebody else is also remembering for me and somebody is sending me. So that is a kind of a touch that an enterprise can have with the end consumer, a relationship which is a non-vocal relationship, but a relationship which can have a long recall value and a long-lasting relationship with the consumer.
If I may add, I think in real terms, in today's world, I think generative AI right now is probably at the top of the hype cycle, a product or something that came like just 16 months back, if I'm correct, like ChatGPT I'm talking about. So at the very hype cycle, how we use it, just adding what Shailesh said from the consumer-centric point of view, at this very hype cycle, telecommunications industry, telecom can, has to decide which way we want to go. In a way, it can be leveraged to front office, back office, core operations, as Muktesh mentioned about 5G and all. So from that point of view, to actually looking at hyper-personalization for customers in terms of, can we personalize the service packages for the end customers? Can we add, the lowest hanging fruit with generative AI might be marketing, automation of marketing, and like hyper-personalization of messaging. But at the same time, can we understand the consumer behavior? Because a consumer retained and adding to RPU is much better than acquiring a new customer. Of course, you have to acquire a new customer, but retention is always the game. So in that context, can we do hyper-customized service package offering, better network, better touch points creation, and all that. So I think that is where Gen AI can be leveraged really well.
Yeah, so adding to the same flow of thoughts, right, when we look at AI being imaginative, Gen AI being imaginative, so all of us are talking about hyper-personalization, CPaaS, RCS, so from morning, these are the buzzwords, right? So we are all looking at how do we deliver it with respect to CPaaS, the discussion was how we deliver it. And then we spoke about what we can deliver, right? But looking at how, I mean to say, like, what exactly the message that has to go to the customer or to whom we are sending what. So that becomes the crux, that becomes the, crux of Gen AI or any AI-driven technologies for that matter, wherein we understand the preferences, the profile of the customer, right? Say, for example, I'm watching a cricket match and my data pack is about to end. So how does the technology understand that I am a cricket buff and send me a message or a video along with the message or an image that tells me, that kind of triggers me to open the message and view it and increase the customer engagement, right? So it should understand the attitude of the customer, the various factors and profile of the customer, and ensure we are sending the right content to the right customer. So in that essence, Gen AI can be imaginative, can create new content, can use the profile of the customers to generate more kind of campaigns or messages to ensure the right kind of the campaign goes to the right kind of the customer. So we can use Gen AI in those kind of cases as well.
So I think in 1960, chatbot has introduced the Gen AI, but till 2014, no one was talking about it. What do you think that how much the industry, telecom industry, is ready to adopt this Gen AI, and what type of benefit they can able to pass through to their customers?
So Brajesh, if I may take this question, and the point over here is that we need to understand how generative AIs are complementing any industry, pick it from any vertical. It might be it from pharma, or be it from motor, or be it from banking. See, the point is that generative AI is helping the industry from marketing and sales perspective. It is helping them from product and R&D. They're helping from supply chain, and so on and so forth. And if I talk about telecom, then the customer retention and the loyalty programs. So there are n number of benefits. The point is that enterprise need to understand that how efficiently the business will go faster if they adopt to this technology. Secondly, if we look at, let's say, past 1 decade, the top 500 Fortune companies, 500 companies, 50% of them have disappeared. And the beauty is that the companies which have stuck till now are basically data-centric. They have continuous experimentations and innovations in their leadership thoughts. And the leaders of those companies, they are orchestrating and navigating the employees rather than answering to each and every problem. So if they want to survive, they need to start now. Get into the Gen AI space, try to reach to the customers more efficiently, because they are the ones because of which they are surviving. And if they don't, unfortunately, they will fall in the same trap what the companies who have disappeared have.
Just to add what Eishan mentioned, telecom is the best suited channel for generative AI, because it is a channel which gives a connectivity between an enterprise and a user. And it is easily available channel, it is an expandable channel, and it is a long-lasting channel in terms of communication. Therefore, telecom industry and Gen AI have a major role in the life of a user, where Gen AI gives the data, telecom industry reaches out with that data to the end consumer.
Yeah, Muktesh, you can add.
Yeah, so since generative AI needs a lot of long data model to work on, so probably telecom is one sector where a lot of data is already available. So generative AI can be best used by a telecom company. That's what I feel.
Brajesh, if I may add to that point. So we are all looking here at the tangible ways of using. From a telecom perspective, we are looking at the tangible side of it, right? For increasing the customer engagement or improving the network operational efficiency. So these are some of the use cases where telecoms directly can look at tangible benefits from GenAI. On the other hand, we've been discussing right from the morning teleco to techco, right? So how can we use GenAI along the technology stack in order to also kind of strengthen the companies, the telcos who are trying to transform themselves into techcos. So GenAI is already in that space, right? If we look at the various layers of the technology stack, we have the infrastructure layer, we have the application layer. So along the infrastructure layer where we are trying to build various GenAI models, even there we have LLM-based models, GenAI-based models, across different use cases. Like for example, to create models, to fine-tune models for model inferencing, we use tools like OpenAI, we use tools like Hugging Face, Google AI, all these things. Similarly, on the application part of it, in order to write lines of code, we can use Copilot, so on and so forth. So GenAI has been there in all these places already, and I think for a transition, like the buzzword right from morning, right? So teleco to techco, if we want to do a successful transition and look at the other side of the operations as well, then we'll have to again get into the race and see in every layer how we can implement generative AI or any other AI technologies for that matter.
So looks like the future of Gen AI is there in telecom. So how you think how it's going to affect short term to the telecom company as well as associated customer, and then in the long term, the Gen AI?
All right. So it's a good point of view from a enterprise value, chain, enterprise value system, how it can affect in the long term and short term. Because Gen AI is here to stay, right? It's just evolving. It's here to stay. Now, looking at it from what we have discussed like so far in this panel is marketing automation, workflow creation. That is what we are experimenting. That can Gen AI help you write automated workflows? It can, it can help you with a lot of automation when it comes to it. Can it make the customer journey better? Yes, of course, because it can, take care of your front office, manage your touch points, give a very brand personified customer experience, all that. Short term, spam detection and prevention, it can be very well used to do that. And then again, long term, you have to, look at how it can really affect and add value. But then it's a long-term perspective, I think, because a lot of what I've been reading through, a lot of CEOs in India basically want to move on to Gen AI, but there is a hesitation to it as well. I mean, in the long term, how you encompass all your operations, network monitoring, network penetration, from that to data security, data privacy. It's a lot of cycle that, for enterprises, there is a long journey that has to be carried on with Gen AI, and a lot of touch points that have to be established and asserted to. So I think.
So Brajesh, if I may just compliment my partner over here. So like he said, for short term, or rather, let me put it in this way, that any company, be it an enterprise or a telco, so one is getting started with AI, Gen AI. So as a short-term thing, yes, they will immediately see the efficiencies in, be it from the operations point of view or be it from the growth point of view. But like what my colleague just mentioned, that, if they want to survive on a longer term, it can't be that they sit on the technology and they have adapted to it and they feel that, okay, now things will go hunky-dory. They still need to be more creative and they still need to bring in more innovation to that particular solution in order to last longer. So the fruits of it will only be taken once, you keep on innovating and defining your strategies along with this GenAI model.
Yeah, so this technology is still evolving. So we had heard about AI, but generative AI is something that has recently come up. And it's still evolving. Companies are investing into it. So some companies are already, benefiting by creating new content, images, the media, multimedia content that they're doing. And so quite a lot of companies during last year invested into this technology. And so I was reading a report by NASSCOM that they're going to increase their budgets this year. So long term, yes, as it evolves, it's certainly going to impact all the businesses, not just the telecom.
So almost, yeah, you want to say?
Yeah, just to add to the points which my fellow co-panelists have mentioned, generative AI has some vulnerabilities. And that vulnerabilities are data and privacy. Vulnerabilities are from a perspective of abuse of the content. That is, then the third one is the transparency of algorithms. Now, from a long-term perspective, these vulnerabilities have to be addressed in terms that for every user, there is a data security issue that comes into mind of everybody. Generative AI has these vulnerabilities which have not been addressed as of now. Regulation of the country or the regulation of that land, rule of that land, these are the kind of vulnerabilities in the long term have to be addressed in form of reachability, in form of evolution of how telecom companies want to evolve and use that generative AI, and then protect the end consumer from unnecessary harms in terms of data loss or their privacy loss, or for example, any abuse of the system that is going to happen, or anything that happens in terms of where the consumer is felt threatened, like fake deep videos and all those things which is coming on. So these points have to be addressed so that generative AI and telecom go hand in hand for a long term.
So how it's going to help the messaging ecosystem?
All right. So if I may take that question, right, when we are looking at it in terms of messaging ecosystem, we have had a lot of sessions right from today morning where we saw that, A2P is going to stay. And we heard that, RCS is coming up. We also heard CPaaS, which is irrespective of the channel we are using for communication. We just want to reach out to the customers and give them a better engagement. So irrespective of the channel or irrespective of the API or whatever, we are trying to reach the customer or the consumers, right? For us, in terms of generative AI, we are looking at the way we are curating the content. We are looking at the way we want to frame the message so that it reaches out to the customer, right? So the end point is that we want a better customer engagement or a better customer journey at the end of the day as a telco, right? So when we look at messaging, it's just not the telcos who are reaching out. There are all other B2Cs which are reaching out to the customer. Also, we are using messaging as a preferred channel to talk to people, right? So Gen AI is in all those places wherever it is helping us curate the content in a manner that is preferable to the end user. So if you all looked at the recent update of WhatsApp, there's this blue ring which says you can ask Meta AI any questions that you want, right? So I even used it today morning to say, how should my body language be in a panel discussion, right? So it's that simple, right? Now it's at your fingertips. So it's rapidly changing the way we are interacting, and it's here to stay. So that is what I would want to say.
So Brajesh, I guess CPaaS has already proved its mettle in the industry, and what AI is doing is helping that particular CPaaS solution to be offered more efficiently into the market, be it from the orchestration of the various channels which the CPaaS rides on, be it from the messaging or OTT messaging or voice. So because the end customer, he wants a communication in a manner which he is having a mood probably on that particular day. So a plain simple CPaaS coupled with the AI will probably help that experience be delivered more efficiently, be it hyper-personalization or conversational text or orchestration between the channels. So that is something where AI is helping the CPaaS modeling into the market, which of course is directly helping the messaging industry at an overall level. So that is what my take it will be on messaging industry.
So if I may add, one of the distinctive and topmost usages of GenAI is into customer engagement, right? And when driven through messaging, that's very big impact that you create with the designed audience or targeted audience. Another usage which makes it very quick and easy to use and deploy is, if I may cite one example, is when we have to have a natural language bot with NLP. You have to train the bot over intent, entity, and a lot of other data. With a Gen AI model, you can actually give it a document and it is trained within minutes. Of course, you have to predefine the guardrails and rack train it just to ensure that it is not hallucinating or it is not behaving weird. But once you do that, post that, it's a breeze, like to give it any document or a website or a content and train it and make it more personalized for users to talk to. So that's very easy to deploy.
Yeah, so since the technology simulates the minds, if a content is created by this technology which appeals to the customer, it obviously makes it more effective.
So looks like Gen AI will change a lot of things, right? So AI has discrimination AI, then Gen AI. Now what next? And yeah, you mentioned few of the limitations of the concern of the Gen AI. How to overcome that? What the telecom companies should do that?
Now, in concept of the limitations that Gen AI has, as I mentioned, the data and privacy, since the subscriber is a property of a telecom company, they have to think from a perspective where and what data is to be given, shown. Secondly, what generative AI platform is being built? What is the transparency that algorithm has? In what sense that data is going to be used? What data is going to be used to communicate what? Are the kind of checks and points that the telecom companies have to develop in liaison with the generative AI platform, so that whatever is targeted only reaches, whatever is not required is not shown. So these are the kind of things where telecom has to work with generative AI to protect their own proprietary, that is their own consumers, from a perspective of looming threats that we have in terms of all the messaging threats that we have been experiencing over a while. So all these data points that are there, those are available with the telecom. So they are the sole owner of that data. So what is to be used, when to be used, and how to be used is what they have to decide and then plan accordingly.
So you mean to say that they have to create a lot of policies before they leave this Gen AI to work, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so since, like I said, it works on long data models, and this could be biased at times. So what will happen is this will then generate a content which is misleading, let's say fake news or images which are not, like I said, no, they are created with the mental sense, which are not available to the senses. So we have to prevent creation of such a content which is misleading, which can be misused to dupe the customers or the telecom subscribers. That's very, very important.
Brajesh, I guess both my co-panelists mentioned about this in the challenges which the AI comes up with, but the best part is that the key word over here is the intention. I guess if the intention is right, AI can be taken in a right spirit, but if so there are many fraudsters in the market. There are, there are people who want to really go by the ethics. So AI is just a technology. How it is used and what is the intent of the person who is developing this tool is something which is the key thing taken to be taken from this topic.
True, Ishan, but so when these challenges come, like he said, there are regulations needed. So along with the regulations, like Veena had begun with discriminatory AI, which actually validates the content, but truly. Yeah. So we need tools like that, discriminatory AI. So Dovesword, we are already working on that. Probably, we will present a solution which is hopefully good enough for the telecom operators.
Yeah, to add a point, I think all my co-panelists touched upon how AI, the limitations of AI from a telecom perspective or from a business perspective, what is needed and what we have to overcome. But from a technology, AI and GenAI as a technology aspect itself, it comes up inherently with so many challenges. It's already there with so many challenges that, the computational costs are too huge, the kind of data we are training on is too huge, and also one model fits all scenario is not there. Like if we want to make use of a model which is made for telecom subscribers or customers, we will have to fine-tune the model. We will have to bring in a domain perspective, a customization to that model, and we'll have to fine-tune to our needs, right, wherever we are using. So to overcome those kind of challenges, and he mentioned that, it picks up hallucinations. It starts giving its own random content, which may be out of context. So we will have to look at kind of filtering out, algorithmically filtering out bias within the model when we're looking from a model perspective, an algorithm perspective, right? So we will have to look at ways and means to pick out the bias, to eliminate the bias from the model. We'll have to go more towards explainable AI, right? Because we now look at, if I am a layman, I look at AI as a black box. I don't know what's there inside that. So quite naturally, when we keep the solution in front of the telcos or in front of the customers, right? It shouldn't look like it's a black box and we don't know what it's doing. You're just giving input and it's giving you some random output. It shouldn't be that. So we should go more towards explainable AI from a technology perspective, wherein we can understand, we can evaluate the models in a better way, thereby the route to bringing in more regulations and what are those parameters which we will have to regulate. I think explainable AI will give way to all these things naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot to everyone. Any question from the audience? Can
I have mic 5? Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ashutosh. I run a management consultancy, niche management consultancy focused on CX-led growth. Firstly, congratulations to all of you, a lovely panel. Thank you for wonderful insights. And Brajesh, tough job, I understand. It's a topic where everyone has a lot to speak, but you wanted it very well. So thank you so much for that. Quick question open to all. But when it comes to whether it is hyper-personalization or generative AI-led automation or whatever you will, what I've seen in my experience is that there's some foundational prerogative necessary to drive success on these initiatives, which is, one is persona. And when I say persona, I don't mean demographic personas, but behavioral personas, led by triggers, motivation, influences to buy. So having an understanding of what those personas are, and then once those are defined, some sense of product affinity, channel affinity, pitch affinity, what works for each of these, and having this trinity of persona, product, pitch being worked out, so that then that can be fed to these technologies, platforms, and systems to drive success. What do you think currently is the appetite in the industry to build these foundational prerogative as a must-have before any such intervention is attempted at? Because ROI is a key, and without these foundational prerogatives, it may not come through. So would love to take your insights on, one, whether there's an investment towards these, and if so, is it a necessity measure before any implementation?
Can I take that question? Yeah, sure. So you rightly mentioned about the kind of the features that we use, the kind of variables which we are building into the system. We're already there. For any AI to work, we need a definitive set of variables. Like we have demographic variables, we have behavioral variables, we have psychographic variables, right? So for any AI to work, we need that. And even before that, traditionally, without AI, if we are looking at it from a descriptive, predictive, prescriptive analytics perspective, right? So even if it was at a descriptive level, traditionally, rule-driven systems. So I think we were already analyzing those kind of variables where domain experts were looking at, you know, the demographics, where this customer belongs to, what are his preferences, so what can I offer them. So we are already there, but what is changing is the touch points of the customer in the ecosystem, within the ecosystem. So it's increasing rapidly. As the day passes on, like people are connecting with the ecosystem from multiple touch points, be it social media, be it, our CRMs or web apps, mobile apps of the operator itself, right? So the challenge is in actually marrying those two data points. We don't know what is the social profile, we don't know. So that is the more tougher problem than getting the behavioral, transactional variables or the psychographic variables. If there is a well-maintained CRM in place, I think we are already there, halfway through the problem. But marrying the other touch points which are not already credible and which we don't know for sure. So that is the actual challenge here. And most of the times we do not get a complete acceptance from the customer when we sit in front of them. With these kind of problems, they'll say, with whatever we have, what is the best you can do? So that is the approach we usually have to take.
In fact, I'll probably just complement a sentence over there that all these datas were already there, but they were in silos. Enterprises did not know how to marry that data because the data is huge. And the beauty of generative AI is the deep learning into the big data. And that is what is helping these marriage of data in a more efficient manner, wherein the customer can be actually spoken in a manner as to how beneficial it will be to the enterprise. So that's what I feel is generative AI helping in this entire thing.
And just to add, when you mentioned about an investment for a company, why should they invest into this? The basic thing that is happening today is personification is there. It is existing. But the personification that is happening currently is by taking all the data, culling it out, handling it manually, and then processing it into a form where it reaches to the consumer. It is currently also happening, but it is a very time-consuming process. There are trials and errors that happen into that communication. AI, if used rightly, can lessen that burden on the brand and give right output with the right parameters and then communicate. So therefore, the industries or the brands which want to communicate more proficiently, more, efficiently also, and in a more time-bound manner, can invest into this technology and take an advantage of it over a longer term as compared to what they are currently getting.
Thanks a lot to everyone. Thanks a lot. It's time's up. So see, standing saves. You also stand. Okay?
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's something like you can see that, okay, Google, right? It's from long. So infrastructure is already there. It's how you are going to mine it, right? Because AI cannot be developed or used in one day. It's years and years. That is there. I have done my MTech in 1994. That time we have read the AI, right? Today the people are using and talking about it.
A very big thank you to Brajesh Kumar Singh and the entire panelists for that amazing session. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for them.